Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_Bo3 Sam. To our farthest right, per usual, is none other than Rex, Shady, Nero. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Rostermania is coming to a close. We have CoD Vanguard beta gameplays, tons to talk about there. We're doing the Rostermania rundown, and we're talking about some players, debating which players we'd rather have to build a squad around, who we'd rather play, who we prefer as a player, basically overrating or underrating players. It's gonna be a good time today. We have a lot to talk about, but before we get into that, guys, I gotta ask, boys, what's going on?
Well, Josh, I am feeling like a rabbit running this race, and there's this tortoise next to me, and he has the audacity to be like, "Hey, little bunny, you think you can beat me in a race?"
Hey,
and I'm like,
bunny.
Yeah, tortoise. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm one of the fastest land mammals out there. Bet. And so then we went on this race, and I swear to God, the referee Robin, he cheated. They scandalized it.
Oh,
no. He let the tortoise like just run like slowly.
It's going off the rails.
And you know what happened? The tortoise, he went backwards, and then no one had like the courage to stop him because like it's a tortoise. He's pretty old, like you never know. And then he went forward and crossed the finish line, acting as if he ran the race. And everyone just let it go because he's old.
There's always that advantage, man. You know, slow and steady wins the race. Old and decrepit wins the race. Sam, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
This is just the whole intro is just scuff. Let's just be honest here.
Yeah, and that was one for the ages right there. So obviously we got a lot to talk about today. I mean, it's going to be a jam-packed show. Obviously, you can listen on YouTube. You can listen to Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify. You can watch on YouTube. You can drop a comment on YouTube. You can drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We always appreciate that. And, once in a while, there's reviews on Apple Podcasts. And Sam, do you have one for us today? Here? I mean, why not? You can also follow on Twitter. And that's a place to connect with all of us. Best of 3 pod on Twitter. Bash_Bo3 on Twitter. Shady Nero on Twitter. And SalvationsElite on Twitter. Did I buy you enough time?
Yeah, you did. Here we go.
Okay, perfect.
Well, here we go. Here's a comment from Goat Kid Chico.
Okay.
FaZe Dynasty is the title.
Uh-oh.
Love the show. Keeps me entertained while I'm working and actually makes work enjoyable. That
my guy
is worth it. Let me tell you what. I love to hear that. How many players, if any, jump into your top 10 CoD pros of all time?
Oh,
champs.
Oh, this is really fitting. After we were actually
fitting.
kind of just talking about this before the show.
Yep.
Do you guys have an answer right off the top of your heads?
Simp has to be up there, I think.
I mean, Simp and BZ are kind of a package deal. Like if one's there, the other one's there.
They're already there for sure.
I think there's an argument
champs.
For RCD, Simp, and a BZ to all be there. They're all 2-time champions now. I mean, that's a pretty royal company to be in.
I mean, if you're talking, you could just go based off like anybody who has the most championships, and then so like what? Karma, Crim, Clay. Well, is that just like the qualify? Like if you have more champs than somebody else, are you automatically in that?
The top 5 in no particular order, just for the sake of the video, is like Crim, Karma, Scump, Formal, Clay. And then you've got like the guys like Aches and JCap and Apathy. So it's like, okay, how about like JCap and Apathy? A Simp and a BZ above JCap and Apathy all time. Do those 3 hop Aches, Apathy, and JCap?
I see what you're saying. I mean, it's a good question. It's the whole dynasty approach too.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you have to consider with like greatest of all time, like how much time is enough to be like, okay, they're good enough to be here. Because you could say something for like, Shotzi, but like he's been here 2 years.
Because you could like really realistically compare them to the pros that have retired. You could compare them to
like a TP or like a Slasher. You mean actually retired, like a Nable.
Yeah.
I think Simp, RCDs, and a BZ. This is a video I'm going to be making in the offseason for sure. Maybe we could do it on the pod. But definitely, I think all 3 of them probably hopped into the top 10. And then Celium's on the fringe now. Like he's top probably 15-ish, somewhere in there.
I would agree.
After this year.
I would need to agree.
which is pretty crazy considering, like, Sympathy he only played for 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons. So there is a debate there where, like, do you value like a slasher over them because he's played for a longer amount of time, which that's fair.
And has, numerous championships.
For sure.
Slasher has 1 or 2.
A COD champs, yeah.
I mean, Black Ops 3, is that it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, who do you think's the best but has never won a champs?
The best has never won a champs?
Like, yeah, who's like, we consider like, they're like one of the greatest, but they've never won anything.
Octane?
Or like any champs, I should say.
Priesta?
Kenny.
Could say Octane.
Kenny's gotten twice.
Nade shot.
Nade shot?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a case to be made for Kenny. I think he's been around a decent amount of time.
I think I might go Octane. Because I mean he's been a legit top like 15 type pro since like BO3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, he's been really, really good for a long time. So I'd probably go that route.
Yeah.
But that's a great question there. I think that was a really fun conversation and really worked as our quick question. So with that said, I think we can head into the news of the week, and shout out for the 5-star review. We always appreciate that. And let's talk some Call of Duty news.
The Call of Duty news of the week.
News here. News of the week. So there was a known like Call of Duty League type leaker named Ghost of Hope on Twitter. He was hearing that Cloud9 could possibly getting a Vegas Call of Duty team. Cloud9's announcement, as we know, was Halo, but this leaker is saying that the Vegas spot is something Cloud9 maybe is trying to get for the Call of Duty League still.
Very interesting. I mean, what are your guys' immediate thoughts on that?
My immediate thoughts are they're probably going to buy it.
Smoke or fire?
Buy the Chicago. Wait, what? Hope or fire?
No, is there smoke?
Oh, smoke or fire?
Is there fire where the smoke is? That's what I'm trying to say.
Is there fire? Yes, there's a huge blazing fire.
Okay. Oh, really? Wow.
Huge blazing fire. I believe that. So Cloud9 and United were both pretty heavily trolling the COD scene. United turned out to be Halo. I think Cloud9 was truly about Call of Duty. I think.
Well, I think it was maybe a little bit of both. Like they did it
for sure,
knowing that people were thinking COD, but then they do a Halo. They're like, everyone just kind of like is going to let it go, and then they're going to come back like, psych, it was COD.
Definitely.
I mean, that would be big brain.
But if Cloud9's in, who else is in? At least one other team.
No, they'd be buying the Chicago spot.
Yeah, they'd just be buying the Chicago spot. So,
can you change the location?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be dope, though. Vegas, that would be sick.
Oh, I'd be down for Vegas.
I'm all
for sure.
down for Vegas.
If we can get the same location that we got the CWL Vegas in 2019 in, that was fire. So I would love to see something like that.
Definitely.
But yeah, that would be sick. I would love a major there. I don't know. I'm leaning towards it. I'm iffy on it. I would say it's like a 60% chance that that's accurate. I don't know the exactly how that goes down, but it feels like it's very possible. At least if you had to bet, would you put your money on it's true or no?
I would say it's true.
It's got to be 50-50 right now.
Well, I think somebody has to take the Chicago spot.
Well, if
Optic's merging with Envy, we're pretty confident about.
Like, I'm assuming Energy would just fill the roster if no one buys it
for a decent price.
Would be really annoying if they did a Paris. But if Cloud9 gets it and moves it to Vegas, that would be huge. Especially with Cloud9 being the same too. With like, again, I'm pretty sure we talked about it before, but like more of these big name orgs.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, C9's got fans too.
Yeah, if we got like TSM in here, if we got like Liquid in here, that'd be so
and Vegas
sick.
is like the perfect like brand spot for COD. It just makes sense. So I thought it was a location that we might have at like when CDL launched. I thought that would be a pretty reasonable place to put a team.
Could they host it at that Pyramid Hotel, like the
the new Esports hotel?
Yeah, that would be sick too.
Yeah,
Deluxe, is that what it's called? Deluxe?
I don't know what it's called.
I thought, I don't know, but I just seen pictures of it and it looks insane. So
I don't know.
I'm all aboard the C9 Denver Cloud. Of course, not the Denver, the Vegas Cloud. How about
I can
Vegas
get behind
Cloud?
It. Right, of course. I can get behind something like that. But yeah, Rex, what's it got for us?
LAG announces their roster officially. Slasher, Gunless, ASIM, and Hook. I had to look at my notes real quick.
You're good.
Slasher, Gunless, Asum, and Hook. What do we think of this roster?
Man,
This is a huge step in the right direction.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Huge
yeah.
step in the right direction.
I mean, again, we'll be talking about all of that in like our actual Rostermania segment. So, I mean, quick summary here, but overall, optimistic.
Mhm.
Very.
Here's a quick question about this roster.
Okay.
Who's going to be the vocal leader? You got 3 options here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would imagine it's Slasher because I mean, he just kind of emerges as the
You think
vocal
so?
leader,
Thanos.
Thanos style. But I mean, you know, if you guys saw that clip I tweeted on Twitter, I tweeted, didn't really have to clarify that was on Twitter, but I tweeted, you know, the World War II listen-in where Slasher's like, dude, like, bro,
I'm on
what the
streets.
hell?
Help me out.
help me out here, man. Like during the listen, I thought it was just comedy. It was a good time to
And
bring that up.
He's
For
just like quietly in the background, like, bro, I'm sorry.
bro,
chill.
like, dude, chill.
And they're like up 4-0 too. Like
Can't imagine why that NV roster with Temp and Slasher didn't work. Like, unreal. But no, yeah, it's optimistic.
It's a step in the right direction. Like, I really like the LG. It feels like they actually have a little bit more. I don't want to discredit the past teams they've had, but a little more maybe research involved with picking their teams this time around.
Okay.
Well, and there's finally some star power too.
Finding some star power. Yeah.
Before, like, you know, you could say there were solid rosters, but there's nothing like super exciting happening. There was no like, wow, this is like
right.
pop
Like,
off
they
potential.
were like, oh, they could make champs before,
Mhm.
maybe if things go the right way. But now it's like, okay, they could be a top 4 team if things go right. You know, so
Yeah. I mean, they seem like it's a middle of the pack team.
yeah, with
I mean, middle of
upside.
the pack. It could be, you know, with upside
It
potential.
could be higher than that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exciting.
I love it. Well, Rex,
Hot
we'll talk more
takes.
about that in our in our next segment.
Very possible Apathy stays with LAG. Kind of the talk is that he's going to stay on as a content creator or as an analyst.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, if he can't get a roster spot, I mean, like, why not wait it out, get paid to do so, work with the team a little bit, do some content, and you know, hopefully get expansion teams next year. You know, like
I will say
it's-
that's one of the benefits of Warzone is the ability to be signed to an org,
fallback options.
Fallback options, still be tied to the COD scene, and still be able to play, like, you know, still be able to compete, have
That's
that
true.
competitive itch. Like, you know, you seen Blast on Rocker. He's been doing a great job of playing competitively, and
Agreed.
I think you even mentioned too, like, you know, maybe he wants to come back at some point, and like that isn't like that huge of a stepping stone to go from competitive Warzone to competitive Call of Duty. Like, obviously, like, you still need the comms and such, you know, with the team there, but at least you're still playing the core Call of Duty, and like you're not like so far removed.
There's a background to it.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that's great for players who maybe don't want to compete right now. Grind Warzone, man. Grab some cash and join an org. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
In other news, Willet, now the head coach of the Mutineers. Willet was
He was
like
was on
pretty
their staff
good
before.
challengers coach, pretty known around the scene. A lot of high placing teams he coached for. Now he's for the Mutineers.
Yeah, so he was helping with the team last year, basically got promoted. So like now he's their assistant, he's their head coach, you know, after Atura left. So I think it makes sense. It feels, again, it's a little bit weird situation there considering the news now, like, you know, that they're considering, you know, Dave Patty and the weird situation going on there that, you know, with what we're going to talk about here, I guess, or the next thing too. I'll just go with, since I'm already here, that, you know, Florida supposedly may have tried to be getting Vivid, but like might not be able to. Basically, Tom Ryan, you know, the GM of Florida, I'm not sure if it's wife or his significant other, basically tweeted like just go pick up Reese Vivid in like the troll, every other capital letter text, you know, the SpongeBob text, just like in that. So it sounds like there must be something going on behind the scenes where it's a little bit more complicated to get Vivid than originally thought. And that probably is coming into play with what's going on here when it comes to Florida's situation. So,
yeah.
that makes a lot more sense for why Florida wasn't getting Vivid, because like on paper, it makes a lot of sense to pick up Vivid on that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe Vivid got other offers other places.
Well, I mean, maybe it's not looking like that though with the current situation, which is weird because I mean, right now he's the odd man out when it comes to like rosters. It's like,
yeah, is he restricted or unrestricted?
Well, I thought it was unrestricted from Dallas.
I'm pretty sure he
right?
got released. Yeah, I think he got released like officially by the old Dallas.
Right.
Oh,
so then it
he's
comes down to like
restricted.
if there's some, he's restricted.
He is restricted.
Okay,
So
there
maybe
you go.
that's what the issue is.
Oh yeah, there you go. He is restricted. Perfect. That is what makes sense then. So they're looking. They just obviously something to do with the buyout then from Dallas and what's going on there. So that's in a situation for Vid. I would imagine probably Vid has been pretty frustrated with that and having some struggles trying to find a squad because that's got to be that's the whole situation. So there's a potential world where Vivid does not get on a roster. And he's the
man,
sub,
Vivid was on the up.
and
he was
he's
on the up
sub
and
for
up.
Optic Dallas, which would be crazy. So that would be mind blowing if he doesn't end up on a starting roster. So we'll have to see with that one.
So Surge, you got some explaining to do here.
Always the Surge somehow.
Surge is what's going on? What's going on in those higher floors?
Do we need to make a what's wrong with Surge now?
I mean, at this point, you know, like
there needs to be one for every year because right now Surge is kind of what are you doing, man? What you doing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Surge never sent their team any merchandise. That's why we see Octane with like a lot of 100 Thieves stuff.
That's so weird to say.
It was on Nubsy's stream. They were like, it was like, yeah, Sam never had any Seattle stuff. Like he never got any sent to him. And then, then Nubsy was like, yeah, I never got any either. It's like, it was just like this weird situation. Like that is so mind blowing to me. Like, how does that even happen? Like,
it's like the exact opposite approach of Thieves, like where they like oversend
to
apparel
everyone.
to everyone. So we're just like, no, our players can't even have anything.
Our own merch. It's just crazy to me. It makes no sense.
Yeah, hopefully there's some changes there because I feel like Surge's stock, like just as a company right now, is just
it's bad. Like the fact that it's LG, like you would have assumed that, like, you know, when like coming into the CDL, you're like, all right, LG's a legacy brand in COD. Like they're gonna come in here and they're gonna really put their best foot forward, and it has not been the case when it comes to like being willing to make the. Obviously, there's more financial things going on than what we know about for sure.
Right.
Then otherwise they'd be doing more, but like that's just tough. That's just so tough. Things you have to see.
And I bet.
Sorry, go ahead.
I bet teams like hate us and hate our podcast just because it's like so easy to find the news about how a team is not doing well. Like all this bad press about Surge. I'm sorry, but if it's out there, it's out there. It's got to be talked about.
It's tough, man. Things you hate to see.
Tough. They need no free shout outs. Hex needs to get Bob Morris on. Like spill the beans.
Oh, that's a good shout right there. I like that.
Oh yeah.
I'd be all in for that.
That'd be great. Because like he deleted his tweets, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of, like when he
shout out Bob Morris.
Yeah. So what happened to Surge?
It's a good question.
So Crim still isn't happy about being released. He was on Reddit. Do you want me to read through? So basically he didn't revoke Scump's he didn't revoke anybody's wedding invites for his wedding, so stop speculating about it, guys. It's annoying. Figuring out the team situation's priority. He has not been all right since the roster change.
Yes, that's kind of the biggest thing here.
That news coming out.
So, you know, people kind of thought, like, based off of how Crimsix talked about it on the flank, that like he was okay with it. Like he wasn't bothered by it that he got released. But he says, no, I have not been all right by this move in the slightest, despite how I seen on the flank. So I think that makes the most sense. And he said, like, in 2019, he was being petty, but then basically he's like, you know, we'll move on from this. But at the same time, I don't think this was the best way it could have gone down, basically. And like, he's still frustrated that he's not on the team right now. So
yeah,
I was a little bit surprised by that.
It sounds like there's some toxicity there. And it looks like everyone was kind of playing the blame game a little bit. He kind of thinks everyone else is doing something bad. Somebody thinks he's doing bad. Everyone is just kind of on each other like that. And just didn't work out for him in the end.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there was that in a Reddit post, he replied to a dude who said, I highly doubt both Illy and Shotzi wanted to drop him. Like he was caught out. He was caught out due to this merger. Same with Envoy. And then Crim replied, LOL.
Yeah.
So sounding like it wasn't just a situation where it was like the merger that ended up forcing them to cut someone. Sounds like Illy and Shotzi were okay with letting Crim go.
Yeah.
Crim's
out for another revenge tour. You know what that means, folks. COD champs inbound.
gonna be spicy.
Also, other Crim news. He's standing up for Parasite. As we know, Parasite is a
beast, a legend.
What's legend, beast? What's the right? Notorious.
Okay,
in
there you go.
The Call of
There you
Duty
go.
scene.
Notorious MMA.
Yep, and
There you go. Sam.
he
That's
let
right. I see some
Haggy
sports references.
his streaming PC so his teammate could play for AM champs. Then something broke on it, and it wasn't on purpose. And like he was basically talking about it'd be so easy to just like me call out this
anyone
guy,
else
get the
find this
interactions,
weird?
saying
Okay.
how bad he is.
I was gonna wait for you to finish, Rex. I'm sorry, but like, it is like so. Like, did he basically just tweet out like, I could have
roasted you.
I could have roasted Haggy, but I didn't. Look at how good I am. like,
I
no one knew what.
I literally got blindsided by this. I was like,
Yeah.
am I reading this right? I'm just
Well, I
so
was like-
confused.
I could have seen it if like something happened, like someone else got pissed at him, and then Crim came. But like this was like, guys, like it's almost like a journal entry in his diary. Like, almost got mad at Haggy today, but I didn't.
Yeah,
It's like what are you saying?
that
I
part
love
was
Crim for
kind of
this
weird,
stuff.
but I think it was him trying to make almost. It's weirdly enough trying to like make a change in the community because
Oh yeah,
Haggy does get some unwarranted hate, and I feel like that hurts his
yeah.
stock more than it should.
Yeah.
At this point, like, yeah, he maybe had some bad things in the past, but like, it's fine now. Like, he DM'd a teammate's girlfriend or whatever, but like, that's memeable, and it's like
Yeah.
nothing ever even happened with it. Like,
No!
weird. Like, honestly, it
What's
doesn't.
the
It's
big
really
deal?
like that shouldn't affect his stock. I don't think. I think people
Josh
take.
is that on the daily, dude.
I think people
Yeah,
take
man.
these things too seriously with him and
Dude,
really put them
round
under a
11?
lens.
What's up? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
All right.
You know?
Sorry, Rex. No, sorry. Circling
Anyways, I love you, Haggy.
back. Yes,
Facts.
absolutely.
I hope you make it
You're
back.
a big Haggy stan.
No, yeah. I mean, we
I
talked about how like.
I
Oh,
agree.
Sam, fire away.
I was gonna say I agree. Like at first it is kind of like a self-righteous. It seems like a self-righteous thing, but I think what his true intent was, there is like this like you could call it like systemic COD hate of Parasite now, like where it's just like
Yeah.
you're Parasite and you're supposed to hate him. So
Yeah.
I think what he did here was actually a good thing, where it's like a lot of the time when Parasite was getting hate, there's nothing or no response from the pros. They're just silent. They didn't say anything. They kept their mouths shut.
Silence
Like,
suggests agreement.
Well, it's either like laugh at him or don't say anything about it. And it's like he's one of the highest placing AMs in Modern Warfare and
Like the
Cold
last
War.
2-3 years, yeah.
Past 2 3 years, he's been killing it in the amateur scene, just dominating it. And then he still like can barely get any sort of recognition from any orgs,
Yeah.
it seems like.
But
And
again,
it's
we
kinda
have talked about it
ridiculous.
in the past, though. I mean, like, he does get a little snappy in his feedback, and like he has these things where I can imagine it being sometimes frustrating to team with them, but he's a great player and is deserving to be in the CDL.
Great
So-
player, great mind, and Call of Duty is that like everyone's snapping at each other, and Parasite's just
That's
now
true.
the guy that we look at harder when he does it. Every time he does it, we put it on a tally board when we shouldn't do that because somebody else probably does it just as much or less or more.
For sure. And that's the thing in COD. It's like once something gets pointed out about any player, whatever their tendency is, then suddenly everyone's looking for it when like these guys were doing it before and other guys are still doing it too. That happens all the time. I agree with you there. So I think that's totally fair. So what are the last few things here, Rick?
So Crim on inviting Seth. So Seth on the Crim invitation to the wedding. This was really not really newsworthy, I don't think, but basically Seth and Zoomaa were streaming Warzone. Zoomaa asked him about it, and they kind of like laughed and was like, send her the wrong address.
Yeah, I was
and
kind of
everyone
like
kind of
in
named it.
comparison with how Crim talked about it too, because that first thing happened, everyone was like, oh wow, Zoomaa's going to the wedding, but not Crim or not Scump. And that's why Crim said that. So yeah.
And then Zoomaa moving to LA. So a Zoomaa on a stream. They had to pick what team you're going to be supporting the next season. It has all the teams on there. Immediately he clicked on LA Thieves, and he went down the submit button,
and
but
he
didn't press
say
it.
anything. It was weird.
But it was just super quiet, like almost like he might have made a mistake. Then he went back up, clicked Dallas really quick, then went down, clicked on subliners and clicked submit, as if like the Dallas part was trying to be baity. Like, oh wait, I'm just perusing. Like I didn't mean to click that.
And he is moving to LA soon, but his girlfriend also lives in LA, so it's very well he could easily just be moving. I mean,
honestly, he could just move into LA.
This is why it's at the bottom of the news here. It's probably not news, but you never know. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, why not?
TimTheTatMan joining YouTube.
Yeah,
not COD news, but big news.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about that just real quick because I mean, like, you know, the benefit of YouTube streaming does help the COD League, and like he's a guy who plays Warzone. He's one of the biggest streamers out on the planet right now, literally and figuratively. And so, I mean,
cheers to that.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
That's
nice.
so terrible, bro.
Nah, man. I mean, that's just on brand for TimTheTatMan. You just gotta. But
yeah,
you know,
nah,
but he's one of the best streamers. I was watching him today play Vanguard. So, and he had like 110,000 viewers at one point. He had over 100,000 viewers playing Vanguard today. So it's like,
impressive.
You know, moving forward, I think this is only good news for Call of Duty as a whole. And like, he's a guy who's, you know, consistently shown interest in COD. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I could see this being a thing where, and I would love to see him in some situation, some way get involved with the Mutineers more and something like, because he lives in Florida. So that'd be really cool. I would be down for something like that. But I don't know. I thought it was worth mentioning in the news for the sake of growing the YouTube streaming and YouTube gaming as a whole, because, I mean, they signed Dr. Lupo as well. And TimTheTatMan now, and so now they've got kind of a pretty decent squad of streamers here. For
Disrespects suing Twitch.
Dr. Disrespect, and yeah, he's suing Twitch right now, and Encourage. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how YouTube gaming and streaming kind of moves forward here, and how that could potentially affect the COD League and broadcasts in the future, and what that could look like. Because now, like you got TimTheTatMan doing watch parties.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's gonna be a real dagger once you get like more of, I don't know what to call it, the edgy streamers, I guess, like XQC, Soda Poppin'.
Yeah.
I think what is it called?
Scared.
Offline TV House or whatever it's called.
If I was
like
them, though, I'd be scared to go
crew,
to YouTube.
That's their biggest crew, I think, right? Well, and Nick Merckx, I guess, is on Twitch.
Yeah, Nick Merckx.
So, like, if those people ever got out of there, Twitch it's nothing. Like, and every aspect of it is for small streamers at that point.
It's such an interesting ego battle. This is gonna be off topic, but it's such an interesting ego battle with like Google and Amazon, and like how Amazon is managing, Twitch, where Amazon seems to be a little bit more hands off from Twitch than, Google's very hands on with YouTube, so it's like it's an interesting dynamic. And then YouTube just as a company itself has infinitely more resources than Twitch has as a company itself. So like,
yeah,
there's an interesting battle there, and I think it's just really fun. And in the long term, I really do think that YouTube's going to win out. And like FaZe has been tweeting a lot about like the improvements they've been making to streaming and all these things. I think we're gonna have some really cool features, hopefully, at least for the CDL next year, and hopefully some more integration and, in-game stats and overlays and things like that can be used on stream. I think it's gonna be really, really cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes,
sweet.
Well, with that said, I think that kind of wraps up our news for this week. And I think we can probably, we wanted to talk some Vanguard, so we can maybe just make it its own segment and just go from there. So without further ado, let's talk some Call of Duty Vanguard.
This is the price we pay for what we do.
Alrighty, Call of Duty Vanguard. All right, so I think we just open up with some thoughts. Let's start with the pros. Some things that you really like, things that you liked about the gameplay we've seen so far, all the news, the information, and the positives that I think you have taken away so far from what you've seen about Vanguard.
I would love to point out right away, I saw this today on Twitter, but there was some speculation about whether an FOV slider would be available on console, and it was confirmed that it will be there. So
yeah, that would be a big time problem if it wasn't.
Yeah, that's a huge dub because Modern Warfare didn't have it. Cold War, of course, did have it on console.
Yeah.
But now, like, because I'm
just
glad,
have it.
Yeah, like I'm just glad the technology is finally catching up with the console, where it's like, you can now be somewhat on even playing ground with PC.
Well, dude, playing GBs in Modern Warfare with guys who are playing with even a controller on PC, you could feel the difference. It was like these guys are cammering the literal life out of me.
On St. Petrograd.
Oh, the staircase.
The staircase, you could see from like the like, we're like, how did he see me?
They would
it's
see you like literally 4, 5, 6
COV.
frames before you could see them. It was insane.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like that was like literally playing handicapped on like on a Modern Warfare that whole year.
It was insane.
But yeah, that's first thing. I like that.
Yeah, FOV great. I love the look of it. It literally like
I agree.
I was talking to these guys before, but it honestly looks a lot like a pre Modern Warfare COD, where like there was kind of that switch to a Battlefield style look.
Mhm.
I agree.
I do too.
I think it looks a little like more cartoony, which is I think is a good thing. I think it's very helpful for the eyes, because in Cold War, man, there's some times where I could not see.
It's too like
it's dark and it's kind of grainy a little bit, and it's
grainy,
like, man,
that's what it is.
It's weird. But yeah, so I love the look of it. I'm just gonna keep rolling here, boys. Sorry.
No, keep firing away. I'm hyped.
Yeah, the guns, I'm super hyped that there's like kind of futuristic red dots.
Right?
For
They
World War
didn't
II
take
genre.
it too literally, and there's trophy systems. Like
Yes, exactly. So it's like, man, I'm very hyped. World War II was a fantastic competitive COD. I think it just lacked that like fun aspect to it with pubs.
Overall, I agree.
It lacked like the guns were too literal. With like World War II, like there wasn't really fun customization.
Right.
So from what I see, the gunplay looks great. The overall look looks great. The technology is there. So those were the main things I wanted to highlight from. Man, this looks really cool. So that got me hyped personally.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I liked? The addition of like they have the different playlists. It was like tactical.
They have 24v24
explosion and blitz or something like that. And I thought that was pretty like unique, because tactical is like the more less people, slower paced, and then they have the blitz, which is like, I don't know, 8 people or 12 people or whatever on each team running at each other. And I like that you can make an option to do that. So like you can take it slower and take your time, or you can try and just like play a shipment game over and over again.
Yeah, they really emphasized like making the experience in the player's hands, like, and that was kind of emphasized for the negative side of things with the Gunsmith. We'll talk about in a second, but like I think it's really interesting that you can basically play on all the maps and all the modes with however many players you want to play with, whether it's 10, 18, or 24 or whatever. I think I remember the exact numbers, but something like that. So it's like that's actually really interesting to me, with the idea of like playing on like some really small maps with like 24 people, which is pretty wild. So I think it's a cool thing overall. Playing ground war and like bigger map play sets, even on smaller maps, is pretty wild. Like they talked about how they said they could make big maps feel like shipment because you were always in a gunfight playing 24-24. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like just to do something like that. So I think overall it's really, really fun. Sim said he absolutely loved the 24v24, and that's what they were playing, I think, in this gameplay that's being shown right now. I agree with you. One thing for sure that I'm really hyped about is that the footsteps in this game are really quiet. Like, thank goodness. Because I mean, like, bro, in Black Ops Cold War, like, you'd literally think that you're running around with like cleats on like a cement floor, because like this is freaking insane. And you can hear people through walls and everything. So like in this game, it feels way more reasonable, like to actually sit here and like not be sound hoard around the corner every single time. And I'm imagining with then dead silence will make you perfectly silent. So I mean, overall, like that was a real positive, even though dead silence is a field upgrade, which I think isn't ideal. And S&D this year is going to be still a little bit weird. And overall, same with Respawn this year with like having dead silence as a field upgrade again, which, that's iffy, but
I'm personally a fan
footsteps
of
is
that.
exciting to me.
I'm personally a fan of dead silence field upgrades. I like that it gives it just adds that little extra zest to like the strategy of it all.
I don't know, but like
it's not just a run as fast as possible.
But
like S&D is what I'm talking about. Respawn's different game.
That's the thing though. And Respawn's is just not it though. Like, to be fair though, footsteps in this game are not that much like louder than dead silenced footsteps in Cold War. Like, you could still hear somebody if they were sprinting near you with dead silence on in Cold War, and it's pretty close to that in this game. It's obviously a little bit louder than that, but like I do agree that like overall the footstep sound is way better in this game. And then it comes down to, like you said, the dead silence. And for S&D, I don't mind it, but I don't know. Respawn's tough.
I feel like it's hard because with like the speed boost, it messes up like timings. So like,
that's true. I actually don't know. Is there speed boost in this game?
I'm assuming it is, but maybe it's not. If it's not, that's cool. I was just like, no.
I didn't forget
when the
to
main
check
thing
that.
was like the speed boost on like the Modern Warfare was fun.
Yeah, it was like a 5% speed boost or something.
Yeah, like you felt like you were like flying. But
And
then
there was
it
an
kinda messed up, like,
FOV zoom
timings.
out.
Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
true. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to see about that. You know, if there's any like slight speed boost.
That's
from
fair.
it,
I like
but-
the score streaks. I mean, it looked like
Yeah.
they were all pretty competitive. Like you had like some of the similar ones, like the glide bomb for World War II. It even had the same sound effect.
It did.
You know, so I'm like, that's
Hey.
fun. I'm down for that. And then
That's
some of the
cool.
other score streaks that were pretty similar. So I
I
think
have
we
a
should,
question,
we should have some
though.
good options for and their kill streaks, which is interesting. But
Yeah. Are the kill? There's no. It's not even if you're on like a domination flag, you don't get points towards
their
a streak.
kill streaks, they're not score streaks.
Nice. I kind of like that.
I don't know.
But there was a score streak or kill streak that I thought it was an RC car at first, but it was moving too slow.
Like a mini tank.
It was the field upgrade.
What? What field upgrade is that?
It was
It's
like a
a,
little mini rolling tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but I didn't know. What does it do anything?
It's basically an RC car.
Okay, so it is like an RC.
It's like
okay.
a crappy RC car.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's just like to go into a room slowly and just blow up. And
Yeah,
there,
I
I'm
mean, that
guessing?
won't be competitive, but yeah, that's the thing. So the other
Okay.
really good thing is 20 maps. Well, 16 multiplayer maps. Obviously, we talked about that already. But I mean, seeing the maps in this game, there was at least some positivity. I feel like it was like pretty good signs, I think, that we could have some really cool maps in this game. I think we saw like, what, 3 maps or 2 maps here? 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
And overall, it seemed pretty positive. I think it was 3. Pretty positive with the experiences for the teams. I don't know, what were your guys' thoughts on the maps that we saw?
Yeah, I was really happy to see they're not constructed like they were in Modern Warfare. Like we know from the get-go they were trying to construct them like real life, and it was like, no, don't do that, please, because that's not what makes a game fun competitively.
No,
So it seems like they're not focused on trying to make a realistic environment, which is great. So
yeah, because I mean, there was a wide diversity of maps we saw in this one.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm hoping for some great 3-lane maps. I think with 16 confirmed, I'd launch 66 maps. That's bound to happen. So
It gives us at least a good chance, you know?
for sure, there's the there's the better odds. You know,
I think we saw 4.
no promises.
Because there was this one that's being shown, which is like the tropical one with the sand. Then there was the snowy one. And then there was like the one that Envoy dropped the nuke on. And then there was like the simp clip one. So this thing is 4. But
Could be.
yeah, so I would imagine out of all those maps, maybe one of them, maybe 2 of them had a chance to be competitive. I wouldn't say any of them were like locks to be competitive though, at least from just the gameplay that I was watching. So I guess now we have maybe a 12 or 13 map set to go from now based off the maps we've seen. So we'll have to see, but I don't know. I overall, I'm excited about the maps, and the gunplay overall looked really fun, and the movement still looks solid, like we talked about in the alpha as well. So there's a lot of positives, I think, from that. So let's talk about some of the negatives. So what are some of the things that you felt like you were a little bit nervous about?
I mean, GAs.
Yeah,
like the gunsmith is always a concern.
Yeah.
This one seems even more extensive than we've ever seen.
Did you watch the reveal? Because some of the things they said in that were worrying. I mean,
well, here's the thing: we didn't even talk about doing like the hip fire over the top. What's that called?
oh yeah, the blind fire.
Yeah, blind firing.
To be fair, in the alpha, that was irrelevant. It was so bad, like it was awful. So I don't think it's gonna come into play competitively. And if it does, either it'll be GA'd or it won't even be able to happen. So that is one thing. But no,
auto mantling too, if you want that.
I agree with you though. The gunsmith. I mean, one thing they said in the reveal was they don't want to gatekeep the rate of fire and damage of weapons. They want the public to decide. And I'm like, oh no.
Do you remember what their example was of that?
Oh no.
It was an LMG, but you can make it like a submachine gun.
Yeah.
That was their example that they were hyped about. I was like, whoa, I don't know.
We saw that in Modern Warfare with like the AK. You could turn it into like a 74U type gun, but also like an RPD, like in that game.
Yeah.
So that means we're guaranteed to have the damage, like ammo changes back again this year, which we went through all of the 10mm versus 9mm GAs in Modern Warfare. And then we had different grips GA'd. And so all of those things, we're probably going to end up with a very similar situation this year, which is going to be really frustrating. So let's just imagine that we're going to be having a lot of potential situations here with GAs for the first few months of the year. And I'd imagine that type of conversation is going to slow down the release of some sort of like ranked play or league play because you're waiting for the meta to solidify before you release some sort of league play. Oh, also speaking of league play, I mean, I think this is interesting because Scump said he's flying out to LA this weekend, which why would you fly out to LA? He said to do work. Come on, man. While they're doing the tests and the betas this weekend, that's sus. I'm just saying, gets me hyped.
Well,
I
then
feel
it's
like the pros might be testing the game.
All the like TST guys tweet out the like same thing. Did you see that?
Oh, they
like,
did?
I feel like it was like Jorge and Blake tweeted that out.
Jorge.
What'd they tweet?
George. Is it not Jorge? I thought it was George.
I think they call him George, but it's spelled kind of like Jorge.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Depends who you're talking
What'd they
to.
tweet?
They just tweeted the same thing that they're going to LA?
Yeah, they like copy and pasted his tweet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, we'll see. But I mean, at the same time, I think it's very possible. I think that pros could be testing the game, which otherwise, at least Scump is. I don't know.
I mean,
I
they
don't know.
usually do, though, right?
Unless it's for some sort of content thing, which is possible. But I don't know. That feels like a pretty fun time either way. But we'll just have to see. What do you guys think of like Scump or Simp and like Envoy? Like Envoy dropped a nuke. Simp had 90 kills and then the lobby crashed. Like I was hyped to see the CoD pros dominating the content creators. You know, which I mean, like it just shows the skill gap, man. It's crazy.
It was a good feeling because I feel like there's definitely in the casual scene. There's like this like
this like group of people, you know,
people that like think like, oh, pro is like no different than like the.
They're just like a little better. Yeah.
No, it's like there is a massive difference. Like they are.
Yeah.
And like Simp doesn't play pubs for a living.
It
like,
was so weird too watching Simp like play because like there'd be moments where you're like, dude, he's playing against like noobs. Like he's going into a room. There's like 3 or 4 people like huddled in there.
Yeah.
And he just gets them all. I'm like, dude, this is like.
And then you're seeing like, you know, the actual YouTubers and content creators that he's killing. You're like, oh, that is tough. That is so tough.
He's tripping up this much. He's just flanking like 4 people like that.
Well, I mean,
They're
Envoy
just trying
dropped
to
a
camp
nuke.
in a building.
Envoy dropped a nuke on Ricky.
Yeah.
It was like Ricky. I can't remember who else was in that lobby. It was like Ricky and a few other people, like other known people were in that lobby. And I'm like, dang, that is nuts. You know, it's just like that's just telling about how good these guys are when they're just focusing up trying to get good gameplays. You know, like oh my gosh, it's crazy. But
what's this here that I'm saying? 30-ish guns to over 100.
So that was the other thing they mentioned. That was the other thing they mentioned when it came to Gunsmith was that there's 30 base guns, but you can make about 100 guns with those 30 base guns, which he says like 100 guns that are basically very comparable to other Call of Duty weapons. So, I mean,
so I guess we assume there's probably like 6 guns, I guess, for each like class.
For like, you mean for each gun, you can make like 3 or 4 guns.
Right. It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. So
I wonder what that will do to GAs, or like, I wonder if there's going to be like a gun that you can make that GAs didn't cover because it's like someone just like really does the intimate stuff. Like this is what really works for me. It's very like specific.
Yeah.
COD's never been able to do that where like there's a specific way the gun is built that works for a single type of person, you know?
No, I'd imagine we're going to end up GAing the best. We're going to GA whatever the best ammos are. So those will all be GA'd. Anything that increases the base damage of a weapon will be GA'd.
Mm-hmm.
And then
do you think we'll still just be doing 2 guns, like 1 main sub and 1 AR?
Well, I think what we saw last year was like there was some different setups for the M4 at times. There was like a fast M4 and a slower M4. I think we'll end up seeing something like that where it'll be like a fast bar and a slow bar, a fast STG and a slow STG or something like that. Like a main ARs versus flexes.
So you don't think there'll be like 4 different guns on the map?
No, I think it'll probably be, I'd imagine it'll be 2, at least in my head. Because like that, I think that was something we talked about a lot during Modern Warfare is like, because you could change one gun so much, the base gun is really, really good. And then you can just edit the attachments to make it a little bit slower or faster, depending on what your role is.
Yeah.
What we need is just like 1 foregrip. Like they need to make like attachments where it's like competitive foregrip. That's the only foregrip you can use.
Competitive foregrip?
Competitive stock. Competitive rear grip.
That would actually be kind of crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we have one option here.
I mean, use it or pros could just agree to like not use any attachments besides sights.
Yeah.
No attachments.
Yeah, no attachments. Just choose your sight.
Yeah, but the thing is, they'd want the faster ADSs and strafe speeds though. So like that's you know? So they would still want the stocks and stuff. I don't know.
Do you think
It's
the
gonna be
COD League
chaotic.
will ever come around to like
Default classes.
like legal? Yeah, like
So great.
yeah, defaulting
Oh
competitive
my God, they talked
classes.
that we almost had it this year, and then it all fell apart somehow, and then it never got added into league play, and then it was like, what just happened?
That was the most random thing, by the way. Like, what happened to
They
that?
literally said there was going to be
I know.
competitive set classes, and then it never happened.
No,
Like,
Mm.
Like,
what?
what?
They're just like, oh, never mind. We did not say that. You know, like,
I was pretty excited about it too.
yeah.
Oh,
So
shoot.
I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons. Overall, where's your excitement level on this game compared to past games? And then like give it like a number. I would say I'm more excited for this game than I was for Modern Warfare and Cold War. And I would give it like a 8.5. I'm pretty excited.
Honestly, I'm on the same boat as you. From what I've seen so far, I think I'm more excited about this one than I was for sure Cold War and more than Modern Warfare probably.
Nice.
Yeah. To me, I view it as this is a World War II, which I love competitively, but then now it's like a fun World War II, where it's like,
Yeah.
I will probably want to play pubs now. So to me, that's like,
Yeah. And they're going to have like
Insane.
ground war, and they're going
Mhm.
to have some cool things here, I think, too.
and then also if you're a zombies fan, Treyarch's doing
Treyarch
zombies. I mean,
zombies.
that's
This
huge
is a
for
game to
me.
be worthy of buying, I think. I think this is a
Definitely.
game, like, at the least, people who like COD will, like, enjoy this game enough. Like, it's
Mhm.
not going to ruin people's fandom of COD.
No.
You know? So, that's exciting.
Hmm.
Last thing, and do you have any vibe on ranked play? Where's your, like, vibes after the release? Your thoughts? I don't know. Where are you at?
I'm
with it?
always high about it. I always think it's going to happen immediately. So I'm there again. I'm following the same trend. I feel like the third time's the charm. Third time's the charm.
I'm still holding on hope to that Tom Henderson tweet that he was like,
Yeah,
there's gonna
that too.
be-
a
there's
lot of
gonna be
competitive
high-
support.
Yeah, a high support. So I'm hoping there is, but we haven't seen anything yet.
Oh, and the game
I-
comes out on November 5th, by the way.
Mhm. So I'm hoping they have like some sort of like competitive I don't know, wait,
Playlist on
reveal
launch.
or-
Oh.
yeah. I'd say more like I hope they like make a video where it's like all about competitive.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
That'd be so great.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Ooh,
But,
that'd be so nice. Okay, let's, see.
Ooh-wee.
Let's give our best bet. Everyone, give your bet for when ranked is added to the game, to Vanguard. When
First
is
2
league
months.
play available?
January
First 2 months.
Give me
Oh,
an
it's
exact
released.
date. Game comes out November
January-
5th.
January 11th.
December 5th.
Ooh. I'll go December 10th.
If one of those dates actually happened, it'd be fantastic.
My fingers are crossed that like when it first comes out, there's going to be like a preseason like
There
ranked
needs to be at
thing.
least a competitive playlist at launch.
And I think it'll give them like the baseline. I think it's what
that'd be so
Overwatch has done. I
nice.
think it's what League did when it was, I don't know, starting out. And then it's going to move into like, here's season 1 competitive.
Oh, that'd be
or
so
whatever.
nice. But alrighty, well, let's get into Rostermania Rundown because we have a lot to talk about, boys. It's hot, baby. Let's get it.
Kaboom.
Alrighty, Rostermania Rundown, baby. It's time. Okay, so it exploded this week. Obviously, I'd imagine you've probably heard it all at this point. I've done quite a few videos on these things now and talked about it a lot. So I guess I just read off the rosters that we got that basically got announced this week. Obviously, like we said, LAG already announced their roster, and we can go from there. So FaZe they're gonna stay the same. Everyone's
way.
re-signed. Ultra, there were some rumors about CleanX, about potentially him dipping, but it looks like they're gonna be staying the same.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Then, of course, we have the Optic Dallas merger, and that's, Shotzi, Scump, Illy, Dashy. Then we got the Rocker, and that's going to stay the same. Standy, Attached, Priest, and Major Maniac. Then the New
Good
York
move.
Subliners. It happened, boys. It happened. Well, it's probably happening. Hydra, Neptune,
likely.
Crim, and Clay is coming to New York.
Yes.
Havoc, Awakening, and then Florida's a little bit weird. So Havoc seems to be likely. Awakening and Skyz seem to be very likely. And then Dave Patty or Yeez is going to be on that team, but it's still up in the air right now. This is all from Crone, by the way, for all of these leaks. Then LA Thieves is Envoy, Drazah, Kenny, Octane, which is what everyone was assuming. Then Surge is Pred, Mac, Sib, and Accuracy. Very fun team. And then London, Afro, Nasty, Zero, Gizmo, LAG, Asim, Hook, Gunless, Slasher, and then Paris and the Chicago/NRG spot is currently blank. So, off the rip, with all of those rosters in mind, what's the first team that really struck you? You're like, wow, that is a crazy good team.
My boys at New York Subliners, choo-choo.
Always on
Give
brand.
me 2 goats, 2.
Are they paying you?
3-time champions? They're not paying me.
Are they? Hot take.
Yet.
Are they paying you?
Wink, wink. Yeah, Clay, Crim, but then you have Hydra, who we've shown is going to be a beast, and he has the guidance of Clay and Crim. Has been a beast. We have Neptune, who, you know, I mean, you and Sam and Shift, I think maybe we're kind of on edges about what they kind of thought about him. I have high aspirations for him. I don't think he's there yet, but I think with the guidance of Clay and Crim, this team, it could be nasty.
Yeah.
Speaking of nasty.
Yeah.
I'm really hyped for that London squad if it pans out.
Interesting.
Zero Nasty, Afro, and then Pred, right?
Yeah. I mean, why?
I'm really excited for the foundation of Afro. I think they did themselves a huge favor by building around Afro. Really, to me, London was a very tragic story.
I mean, this year was. Oh, we forgot to mention in the news. Crap. Zed retired.
Oh,
so sad. Dang it. How do we forget that?
It was so good too.
And basically, I mean, you know, Alex retired Zed. That just sucks. That's so unfortunate. That's like a terrible situation.
Yeah.
But
are we cutting that out? Or we
no, yeah, that's just there. That's just there now.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So Rip
Zed.
Another tangent. I tweeted out. I was really hoping Zed would find a squad. I think
I would.
I think he's good enough too, personally. But obviously he retired because he probably wasn't getting any offers, and I don't think he wants to play Challenger. So
yeah, that's what's tough.
Side tangent over.
Man, I can't believe that.
Yeah, rough. But I will say there was a lot of unknowns with this squad. Zero, first and foremost. I think he's a very talented person. Obviously, last year was not great for him because of, I think he just visa issues, and then he couldn't get in the States, and then he couldn't play, and whatever.
Right. But it put him in a horrible situation.
Yes.
I mean, I would think he would have had a really solid year last year.
The opener, when he played with like the high ping,
he was better.
He was actually really good. Like he was actually dominating.
Yeah.
And so obviously it was like the first match, whatever, but it's a very high potential squad. I don't know if it'll pan out. Truly, I do agree that subliners do look nasty. They've got the talent and they've got the history too. So it's going to be like a double-edged sword there. But with this London squad, I think their potential is through the roof.
Man, it's tough.
Get it together.
Because it's like, I do like the potential. I mean, the upside. Like those are the words for that team. Throughout the off season. But like you have so many established now, like veteran squads ahead of them. With like the Optic Dallases and the LA Thieves and the New Yorks and the Rockers and even like LAG, like with really established veterans, it's like it's hard to rank them ahead of any of those teams. Like, like how about the London versus Rocker? Who would you have higher in a power ranking heading into next year?
I mean, Rocker probably, right? London's too much of a question mark. It's too.
And I 100%. I totally get that, where it's you really can't rank them at this point in time. But I guess to me it's like a kind of like a risky bet, but I'm very excited about that bet. Where it's like I do think they could pan out.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the upside's there. I mean, again, Afro, he flashed like a lot throughout this year as like a guy who could like legitimately be like an all-star level player to be like that like fringe S tier type player for London. If this roster can, play together as a unit, put them in some good situations and let them slay out, like that's really possible. So,
but to your point though, there is a possibility that they just never pan out either. It's very.
I mean, if Nasty and Gizmo aren't as advertised, or even if one of them's not as advertised, that could be enough to make this roster just slip back down to the bottom 4 again. Yeah, and like be like competitive with some teams, but never really get to that next level.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because we have a lot of like passion that's going to be on that London squad. Like Afro didn't really get to play the whole season. I think he still is wanting to really make his mark. They've Gizmo, Nasty. They haven't been in the pro scene. And then you have Zero, who didn't play last year.
Gizmo, when I say
You said Pred, but it's Gizmo.
Oh, you said Pred? Oh, my bad.
My bad.
I actually didn't even catch that.
So they could bring the heat just on sheer, just like they're just pumped to be there more than like some of these veterans who maybe, unknowingly maybe take it for granted just because you're there so long.
Well, okay, so then who do you like more? The London team currently or the Florida team with the potential Dave Patty or Yeez on that squad?
I honestly would probably say London.
That would probably mean Awakening. I mean, if Dave Patty's there, then Awakening's running a sub. Otherwise, Awakening and Skyz are back as the AR duo.
And that's what kind of, I guess maybe I should have question marks about it, but just the whole Awakening Skyz duo of the AR duo, I just don't know. Like,
do you get more excited about him running an SMG and like at least trying that? Like,
I don't. I mean, I have to see him run more SMG, I think, but I mean, his AR play is just impressive.
It's good, but like, why? Like, there needs to be a case study on the Florida team this past year of how much talent they had on that roster and the inconsistency. It seems so strange to me. Like, to me, you should have Awakening and Skyz carrying that team throughout like the whole year,
it's tough because it's like, last year it's just everything was so reliant on having an elite SMG duo, two SMGs who could take over hard points or like push out and create that map control or just pop that 2-piece on the rotation that secures through the spawns. And they just lacked those plays and were relying on their ARs to push the pace and be aggressive. And it was kind of just a weird mix of tempo and lack of team play and communication that at the end of the day costed them in the big moments, even though they had natural talent.
Yeah, which is exciting. Then, with like having Yeez on a team, maybe Yeez and Havoc can be that, or Yeez would be the AR.
No, Yeez would be playing SMG.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that could be what like unlocks the team,
right?
Too.
But it's like if Neptune couldn't do it, like is Yeez really gonna be that much different? Like that's why for me it's like I'd almost
Neptune hasn't been playing CoD as long though. I guess I don't know Yeez's tenure, but
that's true. But I mean, like either way, like I just think that you're looking for more than one change on the team. I think to really find that next level. And Havoc is a fine player. Like he's definitely a solid player, but like he needs to be like the Bance of a squad where he's obviously the quote unquote worst player, but he's a vocal leader, a guy who really brings a lot of energy and leads the troops in the battle, and if Neptune was just a little inconsistent and, not having that mentor for Neptune, I think it makes a lot more sense to bring him on the New York side of things, pair him with Clay and with Crim and then develop him there where like, here it's like I felt like, a Hook situation would have been a lot better off for them to pair on a team like this. I don't know. I just feel like the upside isn't as exciting as I wish it was for Florida.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
Okay. So we could basically go on and talk about all these teams. Last week we talked about the Optic Dallas team a lot. So then we can kind of leave it there for the most part from last week. And you guys can go back and check that out. Because I think basically that whole conversation is still the same case this week as well. So let's talk about the LAG squad a little bit more then, because obviously we have an Asim and Hook and Gunless and Slasher. Those are like, 4 well-known players in the scene. Guys who have won a lot of events in the past few years, like dating back even to like, obviously for a long time in COD. So thoughts on this roster? Where do they stand versus like the Rockers of the world, the Subliners, LA Thieves, Optic Dallas? Like where are they at in that mix? And how do you feel about them on season long?
I got really excited. I know with the leaks and then finally the official announcement. It's like, wow, like this is a huge turning point for the LAG brand.
They're competitive, baby. Let's go.
They're finally competitive. Feels good.
It does.
I do have high hopes for this team. I think it's, again, it probably comes down to whether they can all figure it out. I think I think ASIM would be a question mark on this team. Can
Right,
he
the
bring
ASIM
the
Hook
same
combo.
Cold War? Yeah. Can he bring the same Cold War performance? Like it, it was just crazy the contrast of his Modern Warfare year to Cold War year, obviously.
Yeah.
So like, does he revert back to the Modern Warfare year, or does he kind of continue growing? And then, of course, like you said, the duel with Hook, which we know he had a very troubled year with a lot of certain situations.
I'm
But
really surprised Slasher's playing with Hook again.
I know it's going to be interesting. But you would hope that Hook would have learned a thing or two maybe from
Hopefully, I mean, yeah, you know.
But yeah, I'm very excited for this team. I mean, you have 3 guys 100% that want it bad.
Right.
Who's the 4th? Oh, he doesn't want it. But okay, got it.
No, and then when I say that, obviously he wants it bad, but like
There was
historically,
just question marks this year, obviously,
I
as a
hear
teammate.
you.
yeah. Like historically, Slasher and Gunless are going to be very much
Right.
like military-esque.
Yeah, I mean,
their
you know,
teams.
Slasher and Hook, of course, they, like we said, they teamed last year, but they also teamed in World War II at the beginning for almost half the year. Of course, that team didn't do well.
Mhm.
And that was with Temp and who's the 4th in that team? I'm blanking off my head.
Slasher and
I can't remember. But
No.
the anyway, the other aspect, then of course with
Fellow?
Gunless and Slasher backed in Rise Nation and that whole team. So, I mean, how do you feel about Gunless on this team? Because I feel like he's not talked about much with this roster. Everyone focuses on the SMG duo or maybe Slasher. Thoughts on Gunless?
I mean, I don't know. Gunless is Gunless. He has
classic.
Yeah, it's like it really kind of is. Gunless is kind of a very unique, I feel like, character in the Call of Duty scene. He's in and out of orgs all the time. There's slander about how maybe good of like a teammate he is, but I think some people really like playing with him. Some people they just do not get along. But all in all, he's a pretty good player. I think most of us still are standing on the ground of like he's a good player, even though he just had a bad couple of seasons, similar to Octane, where he's a good player, but just a bad kind of run at things for the past 2 years. But I think this team, it's hit or miss. I don't know. I feel like there could be some breakdowns just like fundamentally where they're not.
Yeah.
Chemistry is maybe what I'm thinking here is not going to maybe not mesh well, but it could.
Right. Like that's kind of where I'm at with it too, where you like, last year Slasher was on a team with like historical winners, guys who have won a lot, who are really talented players in Call of Duty, and it didn't work out. I mean, Gunless, you're teaming with Octane. You had some talent on that team and it didn't work out. Hook, he didn't work out in either place he went with, Dallas or LA Thieves. And then ASIM, it worked out in New York, but like we have a 1 year of like real production in Modern Warfare. It was just really tough. Obviously, he was in a way better situation with a better teammates here this season. So maybe that comes to play as well with more structured teammates, veteran teammates as well. So I would expect an ASIM closer to Cold War's ASIM than one of Modern Warfare's for sure. But
I agree.
it is questionable to see exactly how ASIM's play style and like natural tendencies to fly out and be that first guy in hills, and how that contrasts with Hook's ability to like play flanks and play for angles and play like a little bit away from the team oftentimes and does a lot of different things around the map. So my question mark would be S&D with this squad. I think in Respawn they'll be pretty consistent, but Search and Destroy, this feels like a really weird team in S&D.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I mean, off the top of your head, where would you feel like they would potentially rank in a out of 12? Because I had them at 7 in my rankings today, behind like Optic, LA Thieves, New York, and Rocker. So it's like
I'd call them solid 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm. Because again, like depending on Paris and Chicago spot, I think they could be a top 6 team. I do believe so. They would probably be that 6th spot right now in my mind, but
Some people are really high on these guys, like top 3 type roster, which I just don't see
stretching.
that.
Definitely stretching.
Yeah.
But and
It could happen. It could happen.
Too. You know, Gunless is such an interesting character too, because he was by far the best player in the game, but early Black Ops 4. He was debatably top 5 player World War II.
Yep. And IW.
And IW. So it definitely is interesting to see kind of progression of like from that kind of in the past 2 years, you know, he's kind of, you know, debatably fallen off on like the stats kind of thing. And
right. But on LAN, we did see both Slasher and Gunless look really good.
Yeah.
So
there is a world where this team does become a top 4, top 3 team with Gunless performing like we've historically have known him to.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's kind of scary too for the other players.
I agree. I mean, again, like kind of my whole theory still at this point is the tiebreakers go to the SMG duos. And so it's like, you know, like let's say with New York, where you can debate Crim and Clay versus, you know, Gunless and Slasher. Excuse me, Crim and Clay versus Gunless and Slasher. But it's like, I mean, I'm going to take Hydra and Neptune right now over Asim and Hook. So it's like that, at least for me, like especially when you consider that maybe not on paper by themselves, but when you consider that Crim and Clay are their teammates, I fully expect that Neptune's going to be a fantastic player by the end of next year. So I'm pretty high on the New York squad as a whole, but it's an interesting debate. So one thing I want to talk about, there's 2 teams I really want to talk about too before we get into our individual rankings of players conversation. And those 2 teams are the Ultra and the Surge. So let's talk about the Surge first, considering they're more near the back, but the Ultra are also a really, really interesting team I want to talk about. So the Surge team, of course, is Accuracy, Sib, and then Mac and Pred. So Pred's the Australian unit, the kind of the all-star, the Hydra of Australia, basically the kind of the standout SMG player from that region. And then, of course, you're bringing in Sib, who's been an AM flex in the North American scene for a long time now. One of the sought-after prospects. He's been a sub for FaZe, been on some of those really dominant teams in the AM team the past 2 years.
One of the most number one talked about AMs.
Yeah. And a guy who a lot of people see as a potential like Dashy, like a guy who's like legit one of the most talented players in the CDL. And then the question mark is, how is he the teammate? So how do you see them paired with like Mac, who's going to now be running SMG, and Accuracy on AR? Thoughts?
I held on.
Yeah, you guys both took big deep breaths and then nothing.
No, I saw Rex give deep breath like, oh, he'll go.
He'll fire away.
Okay, I'll go. So Mac is going to be the question mark.
The range of outcomes on this team is
obviously with Pred, you know, he would technically
What's your gut feeling on Pred?
Yeah, I want to say he will be a star, like
a real deal.
He will be a young gun,
like a top 10 type talent SMG, like a top 10 SMG talent.
Yeah, like you almost have to say like he for sure will. With obviously like with that region, you know, he's been
that's the
on
debate.
The most dominant team,
right?
The debate is never been anyone from Australia that's ever been a top 10 player.
Yes,
he would be the first.
So, you know, yeah, that would be the debate there. So I don't know, gut feeling. I think he's gonna perform really well. But then of course with Mac too, there's definitely question marks there. With Mac, I think he was phenomenal, but there are certain times watching him, it didn't seem like he. I don't know. I want to know your thoughts too, like on Mac, but like there are some times where just he seemed to be a very.
Like he would disappear at times. Like he just didn't. Yeah. He just wasn't finding the kills. Like it just.
Yeah.
There were moments where it was like really weird how that would happen.
And yeah, like he just wasn't helping New York out.
But then sometimes it'd be the complete opposite, and he'd carry.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know,
off and on. Yeah,
for sure. So,
and we haven't seen him on SMG since Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm. So like, I think this team is even bigger question mark than London at this point, where it's just like, who knows? Like we may see an incredibly dominant Pred who comes in and just, you know, takes over him and Mac. Great. we may see a player that comes in and gets shell shocked by the competition where he's not used to because he hasn't.
They've been playing against other a lower talented region, a less talented region, and then suddenly it's like he's getting smoked.
Exactly, and then Mac has to be the lead SMG and all this stuff, and then
what if Sib he can't be he's just not a good teammate. He's a horrible teammate, and then suddenly, accuracy is losing full.
You're left with accuracy.
But then
the team.
Yeah, but then it's easiest to replace the ARs because there's so many of them in the AM scene. So then you maybe you try an AR first and you can see accuracy getting benched. But then it's like, well, what if Pred doesn't work out? Then you're making a lot of roster changes. But it's Seattle and they don't want to make roster changes. So there's a world where this team could be awful. But if they all hit and they actually work out, this could be a top 6 team easily.
I wonder why. Who's the coach of that team? Is it Phoenix or Ronan? Phoenix. Yes. Because everyone thought he was going to be picking up amateur players mainly.
Yeah, which Sib and Pred.
Yeah, Sib and Pred. I think Pred's a weird choice. I don't know if he has the full control of but
yeah, that's the question. We don't know.
I'm glad Australia is getting a chance, but it also, you're picking from a market that the competition is not high. It's hard to, I don't know, justify. They're not playing against Hydra. They're not playing against your insights.
He got top 6 with I think it was Renegades at the kickoff event in Modern Warfare in Minnesota. So, he was he was definitely good in that, and like you said, we have never seen that superstar for we've seen guys have really great moments and solid points in seasons like Dens and Fight and Shocks and those Mind Freak teams back in the day and all those guys like Excite and Damage and all those guys. But the
always one made it to the the pro league. Always one did. Or what was it called? Made it to the winners, to the bracket or whatever.
The CWL, they'd make it out of the open bracket and play in the pool play. There was always one of those Mind Freak teams, someone like that would do it. But yeah, we haven't really seen. One thing we really haven't seen very much of ever is Australians playing with mixed rosters, of other non-Australians. So we saw that with Paris last year. Yeah, exactly. But besides that, very, very few times have we ever seen that. So that'll be really, really fun. That's something I'm really excited about. But I'm right with you there. I'm not sold that this is going to work. One thing I really do want to say though is that when we do our bold predictions episode, there's a lot of this is a team where you could have a bold prediction that they finished dead last, but you could also have a bold prediction that they finished top 5, top 4. So there's a world where you could really make an argument for either one. And these are going to be some fun teams to make some bold predictions about, the Londons of the world, Floridas, these Seattle teams. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. My last thing here. Toronto. How's your gauge of confidence with this Toronto team heading into Cold War versus some of these other teams that have been formed now? The Optic Dallas team, LA Thieves, with a Drazah, Kenny, Octane, Envoy roster, New York, Rocker again, LAG. Some really talented teams that kind of formed here to defeat the Thanoses of the world in FaZe and the Ultra. Do you have any concerns for Ultra heading into Cold War?
I think Ultra is still going to be in a top 3 position, and I think there is something to be said about the amount of rapport they've been able to build and the amount of success that they've had. I guess in Modern Warfare for most of them, except Insight, and then you go into Cold War with that group. They were killing it. I think they're going to keep doing well.
I personally believe this team is still slated to be able to beat FaZe. I think this team is the closest to taking down FaZe, and I don't see why you'd break it up when I get they've had some.
Is it a little? I'm sorry to cut you off, but no, is it a little worrying that Kleenex was exploring options?
No, I think his contract run out, and money's money.
Just natural.
Money talks. You're gonna wait to hear. Maybe you won't take anything, but you do want to hear what people are offering. It gives you an idea of how
it is possible
you're being perceived.
Maybe he's using it for a counter offer to re-sign with the Ultra to get more money. That's possible too.
And that's what I was gonna say. I feel like there's alternate strategies when you hear something he is
negotiating.
I think he knows that he's going to stay on Ultra, but I think he can negotiate for a higher salary. I'm sure it's all legal at that point. So I obviously I would take those rumors with a grain of salt where it's maybe there wasn't any bad blood, because I think it's just him.
Yeah, maybe he was just throwing his name out there to get more money from Ultra.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Absolutely.
That's
But
possible.
yeah, I feel like this team is like
They're just
I just-
balanced.
yeah,
They are.
they're super balanced. They had success, and it's like I think they're on the cusp of breaking out and winning a lot of events. It's like
Mhm.
I'm glad they're sticking together. Hopefully they still do, because like I definitely feel like there's like a bad practice of turning over teams where it's like that you
No,
don't
yeah,
see.
for the sake of maintaining rosters, I hope
Yes.
that like Ultra and Rocker like have success.
Exactly, because like there's a world where these guys find success and find it longer term than just an immediate. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah.
like there's just
Yeah.
So would
There
you
hasn't
both
been
still
that,
have
like,
Ultra
no.
at number 2 in your power rankings then?
I would,
Behind FaZe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, real quick, who would be third? Let's just do like the speed power rankings here.
First FaZe, second Ultra, third.
It would be Dallas, New York,
NYSL.
LA Thieves. Oh, interesting.
NYSL, fourth Dallas, fifth.
Thieves, Rocker, LAG. One of those three.
I forgot about Rocker. Okay, fifth Rocker, sixth.
For LA
LA
Thieves.
LA Thieves. I
Oh,
don't remember
wow.
what I've said at this point.
And then LAG. Fair play. All right.
LAG, sure.
Sam, how would you rank those teams? The Optic Dallas, LA Thieves, New York Subliners, Rocker, and Gorillas. Those 5.
I would do New York first, then I would do Thieves.
Oh, low
then
on Optic.
Yeah, then I'd do Optic Dal,
And then either Rocker or Gorillas.
Rocker.
And then
They-
Gorillas. Okay,
Gorillas,
wow. Oh,
yeah.
interesting. So I went Dallas. I went Optic Dallas, LA Thieves, New York. But they're very close in my head. And then Rocker, and then LAG.
Rex, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, he always underrates New York every single time. He refuses to give them the credit
What
they
do you
deserve.
mean? Unreal.
Anytime it's Clay and Crim, Josh is against it. Like he has a bad
What?
perception of them. He doesn't say it, but he has a bad perception of Clay and Crim.
last year in champs.
No, you never give Clay and Crim the benefit of the doubt. You always are like, they're a little bit worse
I
than
picked FaZe
everybody.
to
I'll
play
give them a
at
little,
Dallas
a little
last year
bit
in CoD
lower. But
champs.
they're the 3-time, but they're a little worse than everybody. It's like, bro.
Unreal. Unreal.
Send the comments at him, Rex.
Outrageous. Well, we'll see. Well, I'm definitely down to put some bets down the line here over the next few months on New York finishing on the season. But we'll see. All right, guys. Without further ado, let's get into our little end of the episode. Well, not end of the episode. This is the highlight of the episode. Our debate on some individual players here. Let's get right into it. Let's go. Oh, baby. Okay, so this one's going to be really juicy. If you guys remember, if you guys listen to our episode of Overrated, Underrated, so this video is going to be basically this or that CoD Pro edition. But like you could maybe see it as like overrated, underrated. It's in the same vein as like that type of conversation. So basically, our wonderful producer, Amari, is going to throw some players at us in the chat. It's going to be this player or this player. And we're going to decide. This is the foundation here, Rex, all right?
Okay. How do you know I wasn't paying attention?
That was amazing.
I was completely lost in my own thoughts. I was just like, I just wait for him to read the instructions, and then I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out as we go.
As soon
There was
as
a
you
blank
said that,
I can't pay attention long enough to be like,
at
here's
the-
all the instructions.
I looked over at the Streamlabs and I just saw a blank expression on Rex's face.
that's like what like a teacher does. Like they'll be talking, and be like,
Zach, how are you doing today, Zach? Huh?
that was amazing.
But yeah, so how this is gonna work is the frame of the conversation is if you were building a roster for CoD Vanguard, which player would you rather have on your team? All right, that is the debate. So, with that said, I think we don't know which players we're talking about either. So this is the wild cards here. With that said, though, Amari, hit us with the first 2 players, and we'll get going from here. So this could be spicy, everybody out there. If you guys
Is
are
he
listening,
recording his audio? How you doing?
it's going to be spicy. It's in the Discord.
Send him in.
So he's going to send them in. So one player is Standy, and the other player is Neptune. Interesting. Okay, so off the rip, Standy or Neptune? Who would you rather have on a team?
I would take
CoD
Standy.
Vanguard.
I think I would take Standy. I think Standy has a little bit more intimate knowledge of the game. And I feel like he has maybe like less to learn than Neptune. And plus Standy's a phenomenal sub player. Yeah, I'd pick Standy. I think he has good chem with a lot of people. I think he can mesh well with pretty much any team based on the things I've seen of his personality. So
interesting. So
Sam?
I think there's also a sub debate here.
There is.
Do you think,
this is a sub debate.
Yes. It is. Yeah. Wow. That was a good one.
There's a sub debate.
There's a sub debate. Does Neptune become a greater player over the course of the year than
if paired with the right players?
Paired with the right guidance and coaching, but just straight up 1v1, I'd take Standy.
Interesting. Well, would you, if you're New York though, I'm playing the counter argument here. If you're New York, would you rather have Standy or Neptune to pair with Hydra and Clay and Crim?
I would probably Standy in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is still obviously Standy. I mean, his natural playmaking ability, Neptune has playmaking ability, but we only saw it at certain points. Obviously, he was in a tougher situation, I think, with Florida. But overall, I mean, Standy, he came in and immediately turned that team around. They won, 3 straight matches against some really great teams right when he came in, and they end up, being a great team on the season. And he was a big reason for that. Search and Destroy, he was fantastic. Not to mention Respawn's unbelievably great. So I just feel like the balance across all 3 game modes for Standy is just he's there, and he's either an S tier player or the top of the A tier, depending on how many players you're throwing in that first category. He's fantastic.
Standy just seems to be the safer bet.
He's so balanced. Yeah, that's just the thing. He's fantastic.
I would say you'd be off your rocker if you didn't pick Standy.
Wow.
So my fun answer would be I'd pick Standy right now, but I wouldn't be I can't even think of like a word, but
right. Like you think it'd be too out there to take Neptune right at this moment
right now. But if you ask me before champs,
do you think who would you take in August?
I think there's a high possibility that Neptune could become a really phenomenal player, especially considering this was his first year competing in Call of Duty from Halo. So like he wasn't competing in Call of Duty previous to this,
and now he's gonna go play with Clay and Crim.
So
and he's gonna have a nasty SMG duo with him.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have some high hopes for
a living. Oh
yeah. Yeah, we're just full of it today, aren't we?
Yeah, it's just been a wild one. I think that makes sense. I think we're all in the same boat there, but that is actually a really good conversation. So, Amari, what do we got next? I mean, Hydra versus Drazah. Interesting. In a very similar neck of the woods here. So it doesn't even have an initial hot take. Sam, I know you're the Drazah stan around here. Thoughts on that?
I am. Yeah, no, so I've said it probably 30 times. I'm sure people are tired of me saying it, especially in my voice. Is that I think if Drazah, given the opportunity,
I'm so sick of this. Oh my word! Oh,
I think Drazah, given the opportunity to play a full year on Cold War with a consistent team, I think he could have been considered for an MVP. He truly was the bright spot on LA Thieves, and when you look at his gameplay and look at his VOD, he is a smart player. Like,
yeah,
he obviously knows
his
where
positioning.
To be. His positioning is phenomenal. Now, if you ask me about mechanical skill, I think Hydra does have better mechanical skill.
Hydra's insane.
So like he is insane. So this is interesting for me because I think we're seeing like
who would you rather have
right
as a
now.
Core piece of a team? Like this is the first player you're signing to a roster.
Probably Hydra.
Would that change if it wasn't the first player?
If it's the first player, maybe I take Drazah, and like I'm not sure who I'd be pairing with him yet. But I think Hydra's upside is that he's such a clean slate. That like we've already seen what he's been able to like do just by being with Clay this time. And like his mechanical skill is insane. His awareness is insane. If you want somebody that's going to be competing against your Simp and Abeezys of the world, you're probably going to want to have a Hydra. You're going to want to have a Hydra on your team.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have to go Hydra here. His natural talent is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And like compared with like, we saw him make some really heads up S&D plays this year in his first year in a CDL. I mean, like, I feel like that only gets better from here. I get really excited about Hydra's future this season. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what Hydra can do. So I'm with you there.
Yeah. I was gonna say my final party notes is that I think we're seeing Drazah like currently, like he's in his form, he's doing really well. I think Hydra still has growth to do, and that's saying,
and Drazah probably does too, though.
Yes, but I would probably say that
see it in Hydra. You can see there's so much more.
I'd probably just say that I guess it comes down to that Hydra's ceiling is higher. Hydra's ceiling is higher than Drazah.
Yeah.
I would say so. In that case, I would probably take Hydra. But I do think there are some certain.
But you would love with your heart to take Drazah, though. Yes,
I would, because I am a Drazah stan.
Of course,
I think he deserves all the respect in the world.
That is fair. I love that one. All right, Mari, hit us with the next one. What do you got? Because that was interesting. I actually think it's gonna be a wild one. Okay. We got Insight versus Dashy. Wow. Rex, lead the way here.
So, Insight. It's hard to judge a little bit about what he's all about. I think I've seen some things from Insight near the end of the season where I was like, I don't know if I really liked that play so much. But he's also just been on the one team that worked really, really well for him. Now, how much do you chalk it up to like people really support him to do what he does? Or if he is actually able to, if he could go to another team and still be this awesome,
Is he a
amazing
transcendent
player.
talent, or is he just the perfect spot to be great?
Yeah, is he the perfect match for a team? It feels like Insight is a perfect match for his team. And Dash, I feel like if we're talking like is more transcendent. Dash can go to multiple teams, and that team is gonna level up from it no matter what.
Who do you think you could build a better team with? If you could choose anyone in CDL to pair with these guys, who could you build a better team with?
I mean, I guess I would take Toronto Ultra and then have Insight.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, it's already a pretty good team.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I would probably still go Dashy here. But it's real. Oh man, this is the closest one yet, because I feel like in my like tiers list, usually it's like these two guys are right there, like top 8-ish.
Mm-hmm. I feel like
Insight's a more a foundational piece for a team that I think could really fit with a lot of guys. But Dashy is such a playmaker. And if you put the right SMGs in front of him, I feel like he can just slay out. And then he becomes as dangerous as he gets in the CDL as a flex or an AR. That's what gets me interested about Dashy.
I think the difference is, and whatever you guys want to say about this, but I feel like Dashy is a hero player, which I don't really like. I really kind of say that negatively. Like I feel like at times feels like the onus is on him to be the guy that wins the game. And I feel like that happens to a lot of COD players.
Like you expect Dashy to make the ego chow maybe, or like that type of thing.
Yeah, when things are rough and things are going well, you're getting frustrated. Dash's guy's like, all right, screw these other guys. I got to be just amazing and carry this whole thing. Where I think Insight is much more back and more, in a weird way of saying it, like more submissive to the environment around him, that it really excels the rest of the team to keep a solid foundation throughout. Whereas with the hero play, you break off, and maybe you will break through like this brick wall, or you're just going to smash your hand. That might be exactly
what a team needs, though, is that guy, is Dashy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like what you're playing with here.
Yeah, and it's also tough. The
European clutch situation, I want Dashy.
Yeah, not
maybe regular everyday stuff. I want Insight.
Argument. Yeah, this is a really tough argument.
Yeah. I was gonna say there definitely is fundamental play style differences here.
That's true.
But so with the pros for Insight, there was something to be said where when Insight came in, call it coincidence or not, but Toronto Ultra turned around.
Right. You replaced a solid player with Insight, and then they became a top 2 team.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so then with Dashy, I think he's always been a phenomenal slayer. But so so far, there's his teams haven't been like
dominant season-long winning teams.
Exactly.
That's fair.
So, but for that to be said, Insight doesn't have the same data set as
1
Dashy,
year,
where
less than 1 year.
He's got 1 year, so there is a possibility where this isn't just a perfect match. This is just a kind of a great spot for him, and maybe he wouldn't transcend. So I think there's a lot of question marks there. But
I feel like the safe pick is Dashy.
Yeah,
I think if I was throwing a hodgepodge team together, I'd pick Dashy.
Yeah, say pick is Dashy, but at the same time, if you're kind of going off of this year and like what you could see going forward, I think Insight might be the better pick, where you're building a team around Insight, where he's gonna really create the teamwork that's gonna make a team dominant. So I don't know that, but like there is just different like.
Right.
You need a
it's
Dashy.
Just, we know that Dashy would play well with a lot of different guys in the CDL. We just don't know about Insight, which is what makes this question tough in an individual basis. But realistically, right now, I think all of us would say Insight has been more impactful in his time in the CDL. But it's like, would that translate to a new team? Hard to say. So what's your final guy here? I'm going to lean Insight, but I don't love it. Yeah,
I was going to say Insight for me. So
I'll take Insight.
Okay. All right. Ooh, another AR battle here as our next team's on the board. We got Skyz versus Octane as kind of our final debate here. So I'll lead the way here. Mm-hmm. I love both of these players a lot. I feel like I've been higher than the majority of the CoD scene on both of these guys this past season, especially Skyz, as the guy who I've been all in on. And this is really tough because it's like we really haven't got the chance to see Skyz with a lot of different players in the CDL. And so it becomes a tough argument. Obviously, we saw him on LG in BO4, but that was for a kind of short amount of time as the team was kind of going through the gunless situation. So it's hard to say. Off the rip, I would lean Octane, but man, it's close. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've seen more from Octane. I think we've seen more ability from Octane. I think, yes, Skyz has had some weird situations, truly. But
and he's definitely naturally talented as a playmaker, a guy who could like be a legit mainstay slayer as an AR in the CDL. Man,
very much so. So it's hard though, because like I've also seen arguments where Octane is pretty much just like shooting zombies, right? Like where like that like formal. I think it was formal where he said, he's just shooting and like getting gunfights because his teammates are just dying around him. So like, is it true that like he's just getting kills? I don't think so, because you look at that Thieves roster in Black Ops 4, he was dominant with like great players around him. Like he was shining out on that roster. So I think I'd go Octane here, just as a mind, and then also I think you have very
a consistent talent
skill.
too.
Yes, very much so, and like also with like a vocal leader too. I think Skyz can be, but I think Octane is probably more of a confident player.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think with all that being said, I'd probably take Octane.
Man, they're probably back to back in like my AR rankings, like legitimately. That's a really, really good face off there. Rex, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, yeah, like you're right. This is a really, really difficult one for me. Like it honestly is still a question mark for me of whether Octane is a kill whore or not. Like you hear people saying he is. You have some people saying he's like that he's not. And honestly, for me looking at it, I can't. I flip flop on it. I can't tell. I can't tell. I think I would lean towards Octane as well, just for the same sentiments that you guys shared. I think I would lean Octane too.
Not to buy the argument that Seattle just didn't like online. Like I think that is true. Like,
Well, it affects the mental of the game.
There is some
of it.
sort of mental aspect. Like they got off to a slow start in Modern Warfare. Then they all hated the game. Then Octane was like, online sucks. And then he's just like, chalk it. You know, like there is like a storyline to that makes a lot of sense. So it is tough to say, but I'm going to go Octane here. But man, my guy Skyz, I hate not taking him here.
Yeah. No,
Word.
yeah. It's tough because I would love to see like Skyz on a team where you had that like great sub duo where like they are the ones bullying out, and then you just have Skyz just doing his thing. I think he would be.
Oh, I think Skyz
very
should be
much
on
a
a
shining
championship
star.
team though. He's a championship caliber player.
Yes,
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like my decision came down to just what we've seen in the past more from Octane than Skyz.
For sure.
But
For sure. That's fair. Well, alrighty. With that said, we can head into intelligent or irrelevant. I think that was actually a really fun segment. We want to do more of this in the future as well. So maybe drop some comments down below about some guys you'd like us to debate. And then Amari can choose some of your guys' recommendations next time. So be on the lookout for that. Without further ado, let's get into intelligent or irrelevant though. Let's hit it.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Alrighty. Intelligent or irrelevant, Sam? What do you got for us today?
okay, so this one is, I think it's a peculiar one.
Okay. All right.
So here we go. As we get into another year of a franchise league, what will improve the format the most if you had to choose only one of these four options? So first one, the season starting sooner. Number two, more lands. 3, open bracket style champs. And 4, more teams. I kind of just threw that one out there because that isn't really more of a format, I guess. But
that's fair.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's a fun question. That's a great question, Sam.
of those 4 options, what do you think improves the scene as a whole?
Oh man.
I mean, people had to pick lands, right?
That, or I can honestly see the open bracket style champs being the
I
biggest
could
hitter.
too. I think a lot of people are going to be thinking LAN is the answer, but I really think an open style bracket champs
Yeah,
would
man.
garner a lot more excitement.
But starting soon though. How did you give a date or did you just say starting? When did you say?
I just said season starting sooner. I probably should have said season starting like a month after launch.
Or like
honestly.
1 month after launch.
that was what I was thinking honestly when I wrote that.
'Cause like, that's what came into my head first. I think my answer might be season starting sooner. Like
Mhm.
that might be the thing that actually helps the scene the most.
I think so. Because like when you look at all of these, I think the two things that are gonna like boost viewership is gonna be the season starting sooner or the open bracket style. So
Right. I mean, I guess it kind of depends what more lands means
I
because
was just
like,
thinking that.
like,
Maybe like
obviously more
events,
than 2.
or do
Yeah.
you mean like we're choosing between having
Yeah,
lands or not having lands?
when I first wrote this, that spot said more events, but I was thinking like more lands because like you could have a billion 2Ks.
More lands is going to win the vote.
Yeah.
More LAN events.
Yes.
Got
yes. Mhm. So yeah, I probably could have worded this better, but for me, I think season starting sooner would have been my vote.
Yeah. Cause I mean, like,
yeah.
I feel like everyone's assuming we're going to have 5 LAN events this year.
Mhm.
So like coming from that perspective, I would then vote season starting sooner. But I think the public would think, oh, more than 2. We need more than 2.
Mhm.
Therefore, they're going to vote lands. So I'm going to go with lands. But
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna vote for more teams because I think that was the lowest option. But...
Okay.
Wow. Okay. So 34.4% with the win has more lands.
okay, makes sense.
And
But
then you
34, that's not as
actually
much as I thought.
second is open bracket style champs.
Wow.
Mhm.
Third is more teams.
Really?
Last is season starting.
How many votes did
sooner.
it have?
At 96 votes. So not
Man.
a ton, but yeah, season starting sooner was last.
Season starting sooner is such like a I don't know, big brain play.
Vague.
Maybe vague, yeah. But it's
It's a
hard to
little
think
vague.
of like what the repercussions of that might be. Of
Yeah.
like it's going to be greater because it's starting sooner, which keeps the interest and all that. But I don't know. It's a long line of thinking.
I mean, yeah, it
think.
comes down to like how many LAN events you thought there'd be originally. Like coming
Mhm.
from like, if I think the baseline's 5 and then more is like 7 or 8, then I'm like, well, we don't need 8. We need 5. So
Mhm.
that's kind of where I
Yeah.
come from it. But that's fair. That was a solid one. That was actually really fun. Are there any comments down there?
Yeah. We got one from Oz Freak Show. Why not all of the above? Well, that wasn't the point.
Amen.
But yes, no. Yes, we would love to see all 4 of those.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no, he goes on to say it's actually sad the amount of talent irrelevant for sure, but make an actual good competitive game. Which okay.
All right, yeah, fair.
CDL podcast says torn between more teams and just having like 20 teams, but then having 16 plus at champs would make the season more exciting, knowing more teams in the contention to make it all year.
Yeah,
could do 4 groups of 4 at champs then as well. Absolutely. I would love 32 teams, 32 teams. That'd be great. And then last, we got one from Kova BB, 8 major tournaments, 2 pre-regular season tournaments. These can still have CDL points based on placement. Then 4 stages ending with majors, 2 post-regular season tournaments, and with champs. So just a lot of events.
A lot of events. Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
So yeah,
fair play. I'll give the people intelligent this week.
I'll say relevant because
like every week.
No.
My vote was last, so I have to say irrelevant.
Facts.
But
love it. Well, boys, what are you watching this week?
Let's see, what am I watching? I saw this like blip on Facebook of a Clint Eastwood movie that looked really interesting. It was like where he's like,
which one it was?
He's the army like drill sergeant.
So every movie he's in.
Yes, pretty much. But like he's like he like takes over this like group of Marines who are like super like disrespectful and like super lax.
I'm not gonna know it.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. But like the clip was pretty funny. And,
well, in
like,
the comments, drop whoever movie that is, you know.
Let me know what it is, because I'll see these like like you know those like Facebook like videos where it like shows like a scene of a movie.
Right.
It's like, oh, it looks pretty interesting. I might want to watch that. So I'm gonna go find that and watch it.
Nice.
Love it.
I'll let you know.
Rex?
Okay. Oh, a few things. Well, I'm still crushing out Lucifer. It's in last season. Great show. I mean, I think it's great. I think the writing can be cheesy at times, but I think it's a really fun show and I like it a lot. Also Shameless. I think one of the best writing in TV. Like it's the writing in Shameless is just impeccable and the character development is insane. There was a movie, UFO documentary. Oh, there's a Bob Ross documentary on Netflix now. And it kind of talks about sort of behind the scenes of how Bob Ross became who he was. And like, there's actually like some shady like business dealings.
Oh,
like, not that he did, but like the people who like owned his brand, I guess.
Oh,
and like they still own the rights to
Bob
his
Ross
name and sell his stuff. But like none of his kids.
Rest of 3, number 91.
like the kids and family. Like when he died, don't have rights to like his name and things like that.
That's crazy.
And they don't get any of the money for the usage.
Dang.
And it's like the shadiness of the business behind Bob Ross.
Trading right there.
Well, I'm watching football, baby. NFL's back. College football in full swing. Ooh, baby. Let's go. Yeah, Sam, you know, go Saints. Who they play week 1?
I don't know.
Football?
Do they?
What is that?
Do they play the footballs?
Dude, I'm sure people hate like sports memeing jokes.
Oh, for sure. Sure, like
nah, it's all good.
I'm that guy that wears shirts and they're like, well, or like the like band shirts, like name one song. It's like it's a cool shirt.
Fair. Well, yeah, that's the podcast, boys. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, everyone out there. If you guys did, of course, drop that comment down below. Let us know how you guys feel about the pod and what you guys thoughts on the whole episode as a whole. And you can know we always appreciate all the love and support we get and all the reviews and everything else. We always appreciate that.
Oh,
Tuning
Josh, we forgot to talk about your beef with Clayster.
What?
On Twitter.
Oh.
Well, not your beef. Are we going to be putting links in our tweets now or no?
Nah, man. He's got to get up to date on the he's got to get up to date on the YouTubes. Come on, baby.
Oh god.
Check it out.
Check out Mr. Beast, baby.
Check it out.
You got to watch Mr. Beast's manager has a good podcast about why they don't put their links on YouTube or on Twitter.
I think I've seen that podcast.
Well, there you go.
The creator economics.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Love that. Love that, man. So yeah, there you go. Check out the podcast. We always appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe. Sure if you guys really enjoyed it. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. SalvationsElite. To my right is Bash. To my 3 Sam. To our farthest right per usual is Rex Shady Nero.
Follow
And
me,
guys, this has been the
please.
Best of 3 Call of Esports podcast, and we will see you next time. We out.